Neoliberalism is a term used to signify the late 20th century political reappearance of horrifying and widely discredited ideas associated with free market capitalism from the Gilded Age. Predominantly advocated by billionaire sociopaths and upper middle class bootlickers, neoliberalism is generally associated with the policies of economic brutality, including privatization, deregulation, globalization, free trade, monetarism, austerity, and reductions in government spending in order to increase the role of the private sector in eviscerating your soul in the crucible of the free market. Neoliberalism features a strong and impartial apparatus of state violence, whereby financial brokers from Long Island replace representative democracy with a network of their dicks. Most scholars tend to agree that neoliberalism is broadly defined as the extension of dicks into all areas of life, including the economy, politics, and culture. The term neoliberalism refers to market-oriented reform policies such as price gouging, white-collar crime, foreign sweatshops, and destabilizing democracies through privatization and austerity. It is commonly associated with the Fleetwood Mac album Rumors and widespread use of cocaine by suburban dads. Disseminated initially by the stag films of the 1970s and consequent collapse of the Soviet Union, neoliberal television pundits declared the victory of disco and soft rock in the United States and around the world. The term has a pejorative valence and smells like cologne. Scholars tended to associate it with the theories of juggalo families such as free market Freddie von Hayek, supply-side daddy Milton Friedman, along with speed metal musicians such as Margaret Snatcher, Ronald McDonald, and former juggalo Alan Greenspan. Whoop whoop. The Austrian school was a musical theater company whereby the social contract was taken and fed into a meat grinder as part of a local rendition of Rent the musical. With a sociopathic monofocus on individual autonomy, the school has been associated with free market Freddie von Hayek. Free market Freddie hated socialism with all of his heart, and he spent his entire life trying to replace it with insane and poorly written song and dance routines. Juggalo Alan Greenspan, a student of Hayek, said that, quote, "The Austrian school have reached far and deep into their own buttholes, which is where most of them had practiced, and it has had a profound and, in my judgment, irreversible effect on how most mainstream economists think in the United States." Now, supply-side daddy Milton Friedman was the lead singer of the Chicago School of Economics. Supply-side daddy confused exploitation with other forms of political and social freedom, which created a big mess. He thought that if we allow free markets to make all of our decisions for us, there would be less political repression and everyone everywhere would be happy all the time. What an unfortunate mistake supply-side daddy made. Now, trickle-down or supply-side economics is supply-side daddy's favorite thing that he loved to write love songs about. Supply-side daddy thought that eviscerating the social safety net and giving humongous tax breaks to rich people would help poor working people. While supply-side daddy sprayed trickle-down economics all over Ronald McDonald and Margaret Snatcher, as of 2023, trickle-down has failed to show any connection to economic growth. In 1973, a glam metal band called the Chicago Boys overthrew a democratically elected government in Chile. This was the earliest example of neoliberalism undermining democracy so a small group of opportunistic dweebs can reap large amounts of profit. With supply-side daddy's help, they privatized wine production, deregulated marketplaces for refried beans, and reduced international trade barriers for the export of fruit cups. Early roots of neoliberalism were laid in the 1970s during the Carter administration with deregulation of the trucking, banking, and airline industries. This trend continued into the 1980s under Ronald McDonald, which included tax cuts for clowns, increased spending on global death, deregulation of white-collar crime, and trade deficit expansion. Likewise, concepts like supply-side economics culminated in the 1980s stag film Plugging in the Supply Side. This was screened extensively by the Ronald McDonald administration, which whipped Congress into an ecstatic frenzy whereby they cut taxes by 25% in 1981. Slick Willie Bill Clinton eviscerated the social contract with a neoliberal saxophone solo and a charming, folksy demeanor. Clinton supported the NAFTA agreement, which saw the loss of 4.5 million manufacturing jobs. Then, he legalized credit default swaps and repealed the Glass-Steagall Act of 1933. This directly led to the financial collapse of 2008 and the following recession. He also implemented cuts to the welfare state through the passage of the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Act. While he may have gotten a blowjob for his efforts, the blowjob he gave the 1% was much bigger, and the public was the one who swallowed. Domestically, neoliberalism meant the remaking of social relations in favor of you living with your parents into your 30s, overpriced apartments in Bushwick, crippling art school debt, and overdraft fees for when you run out of money. In the United States, the, quote, neoliberal transformation of industrial relations has been blamed for the increase of entry-level communication strategist jobs on MediaBistro.com. Neoliberalism forces consumers to prostitute themselves for Ritz crackers, incentivizes individuals to misuse resources, distorts investments, stifles innovation, and props up regimes such as Guitar Center at the expense of consumers and other industries. However, what neoliberals actually intend is to undermine the basic elements of democracy, leaving a trail of economic misery, unemployment, and rising economic inequality throughout the world, fueling a resurgence of extremist nationalism. In conclusion, neoliberalism is a political theology, aspiring to be a complete way of life and a holistic worldview. It is hence considered as the arbiter of truth, as evidenced by the impartial and totally fair nature of the insider trading and 2008 stock market crash. In this way, neoliberalism is the idea that society works best when people and institutions are totally subservient to market principles, thus liberating the processes of capital accumulation so they may run free and wild through the fields of subsistence farmers in the global south.